So the bastards have finally done it. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. We are discussing still the Wizards of the Coast OGL 1.2 in this case. They have called it that now, and they have released their draft for it in an announcement over at D&D Beyond, and we are going to dive into it because it's fresh out of the oven. We are going to talk about it. Without further ado, let's dive into this. On January the 19th, Wizards of the Coast released through D&D Beyond the statement about the new OGL 1.2 called Starting the OGL quote playtest end quote, because they are funny like that, and we're going to read it in full before any opinions. For over 20 years, thousands of creators have helped grow the TTRPG community using a shared set of game mechanics that are the foundation for their unique worlds and other creations. We don't want that to change, and we have heard loud and clear that neither do you. So, we're doing two things. We're giving the core D&D mechanics to the community through a Creative Commons license, which means that they are fully in your hands. If you want to use quintessentially D&D content from the ESRD, such as Owlburst and Magic Missile, OGL 1.2 will provide you a perpetual irrevocable license to do so. Creative Commons is a non-profit dedicated to sharing knowledge, and it developed a set of licenses to let creators do that. The Creative Commons license we picked lets us give everyone those core mechanics forever. Because we don't control the license, releasing the D&D core rules under the Creative Commons will be a decision we can never change. Let's talk OGL 1.2 and the important ways it's different from 1.0a. First, it allows us to address hateful content. Second, it only applies to published TTRPG content, including on VTTs. Third, this license specifically includes the word irrevocable. What's not in there? There's no royalty payment, no financial reporting, no license back, no registration, no distinction between commercial and non-commercial. Nothing will impact any content you have already published under OGL 1.0a. That will always be licensed under OGL 1.0a. Your stuff is your stuff. There's a link at the end of this note where you can download a PDF of the proposed OGL 1.2 along with supporting documents for your review and feedback. Before you scroll down and grab it, let me give you more details on what's in there. Protecting D&D's inclusive play experience. As I said above, content more clearly associated with D&D, like the classes, spells and monsters, is what falls under the OGL. You'll see that OGL 1.2 lets us act when offensive or hurtful content is published using the covered D&D stuff. We want an inclusive, safe play experience for everyone. This is deeply important to us, and OGL 1.0a didn't give us any ability to ensure it. TTRPGs and VTTs. OGL 1.2 will only apply to TTRPG content, whether published as books, as electronic publications, or on a virtual tabletops VTTs. Nobody needs to wonder or worry if it applies to anything else. It doesn't. Deauthorise in OGL 1.0a. We know this is a big concern. The Creative Commons license and the open terms of 1.2 are intended to help with that. One key reason why we have to deauthorize. We can't use the protective options in 1.2 if someone can just choose to publish harmful, discriminatory or illegal content under 1.0a. And again, any content you have already published under OGL 1.a will still always be licensed under OGL 1.0a. Very limited license changes allowed. Only two sections can be changed once OGL 1.2 is live. How you cite wizards in your work and how we can contact each other. We don't know what the future holds or what technologies we will use to communicate with each other, so we thought these two sections needed to be future-proofed. For completeness, let's sum up what else is in OGL 1.2 and supporting documents. Virtual tabletop policy. We will continue to support VTT usage for both OGL creators and VTT operators. The visual tabletop policy spells this out. ownership disputes. You own your content. You don't give Wizards any license back. And for any ownership disputes, you can sue for breach of contract and money damages versus holding up products all the players are waiting for while we sort it out. No hateful content or conduct. If you include harmful, discriminatory, or illegal content or engage in that conduct publicly, we can terminate your OGL 1.2 license to our content. Create a product badge. You'll have the option to include a badge on your OGL works. Once we get your feedback on the badge, we'll create a guide on how to use and display it. Overall, what we're going for here is giving good faith creators the same level of freedom or greater for the things in Creative Commons to create TRPG content that's been so great for everyone, while giving us the tools to ensure the game continues to become ever more inclusive and welcoming. Okay, now for the actual documents, here you have a little link to go to the PDF document. We are very interested to read your thoughts. Our team does a great job compiling all the playtest feedback for us in a comprehensible way to reflect and act on, so I'm confident they'll do the same here. After you've read the new SRD 5.1 introduction, OGL 1.2 and the VTT policy, provide your feedback on the review documents in our survey, which will be live tomorrow. We'll update this post with the link. The survey will remain open until February the 3rd. We'll talk again on or before February the 17th. We'll share what we heard from you and updates to the OGL document as a result. The process will extend as long as it needs to. We'll keep iterating and getting your feedback until we get it right. D&D is my life's hobby because I'm fundamentally a co-op gamer. Let's tackle this together. Come on, you Kyle. Just look at the image right here. And do it, please. Just do it. Let's review this document, everyone, because this document is not really in the best interest of the community, as you can very well see, for what it contains. First and foremost, it starts using the 2 points of address that is giving this to Creative Commons. Oh, how nice and generous of you, D&D. It says there that they are giving the core D&D mechanics to the community. Let me tell you something, Wizards, in case that you didn't know how this works. You can't get hold of any mechanics or instructions to a game because they are not copyrighted. They cannot be copyrighted material. But okay, they are magnanimous that way, and they are giving the community through Creative Commons the mechanics. How generous of them. But if you pay attention later on in this informative statement, we have there that they are trying to be as protective of inclusivity as they can, and they are talking about harmful, discriminatory, or illegal content, and that is why they are going with the most important point, in my opinion. That is exactly what the community didn't want and exactly what they did. That is deauthorizing OGL 1.0a. Now, they say it right here. They are doing it because they cannot implement what the Creative Commons license is giving them as protective options, which is basically that they cannot really look at the harmful or discriminatory or illegal content and then prohibit it or anything like that. Are they stupid, or they think that we are stupid and have no memory? For those people that have a modicum of memory or were around at that time, they will remember that once the OGL, the original, was out there and everyone could use it, there was some erotic fantasy going around with the game, and of course it was not in the best interest or in the best taste for the community at large, and especially also for Wizards of the Coast. So what they decided was to just stop that particular publisher, that particular product from displaying the badge, quote unquote, that in those days people used. That was the D20 system logo. It's the same thing now with this badge that they want to give people. How is that different from using the D20 system logo that we used to have back in the day, in the 2000s? If you got any products from that time, look at your books and all the materials, and you will find there that it has a D20 system logo. It's going to be the same thing right now with this supposed badge, but the thing that the community told them not to do is exactly the thing that they are doing right now by deauthorizing OGL 1.0a, and they even have the gall to say in the last part of that specific bullet that content that was published under the OGL 1.0a will still always be licensed under that OGL. Yes, but if it's deauthorized already, what's the point? Why would you even consider it? Oh, but it's still authorized. How is it authorized if you have deauthorized the freaking OGL already, you imbeciles? That is at the core of this thing. They are trying to tell you that they are doing it in the best interest of the game. Okay, let's play this game. What do you consider harmful or discriminatory content? I mean, illegal content, I reckon that you will have to be crazy to create illegal content because it's illegal. You can go to jail for this sort of thing. But when you talk about harmful or discriminatory content, who is going to determine that it is harmful or discriminatory? Well, if you look at the document, it says there in this document that it is Wizards who reserve that right to decide who is at fault and who isn't. If you consider also the woke history of Wizards of the Coast in recent years, then you know what they are going to mean by harmful and discriminatory content. So orcs are going to be racist, and you are going to block anyone or take down their license just because they are using orcs, or because orcs are evil in that context. I mean, come on. It's completely out of any proportion. What they are trying to do here is to grasp control of the material by themselves, and they are also trying to dictate how the community is going to behave. Now, let me tell you something. Half the population out there that plays Dungeons & Dragons has never had any problem with such quote-unquote hateful content, as they say, like the orcs debacle. Nobody that is out there in their right mind playing D&D right now thinks that the orc race is any indication of racism or attacking any specific ethnicity or minority. That is not the case. So what they are doing here is just what I expected, what I talked about in my last video. They are just fooling or trying to fool the community, giving them spoonfuls of nothing, because that's what they're doing, and at the same time doing what they want to do, that is, control the narrative, get a hold of the narrative. Now, you have there the opportunity to provide feedback. They now labeled this as a draft. It's not anymore something definitive. But we will have to look at the survey, how it is created, to see whether it's really going to be any good to pay attention to it and provide your feedback. At the same time, let me remind you that Wizards of the Coast have the habit of not paying attention to feedback, especially the written feedback. If the options seem too difficult for them to follow through, let alone pieces of text that you provide them with. So I don't really think that things are going to change much come February the 17th, but we will have to wait and see. My recommendation, my opinion, is that this is wrong. This is going against what the community wanted, and this is going against what the OGL 1.0a officially and initially had in mind when it was released. And it's, of course, going against the community, going against what WotC promised back in the day, and it's creating a big problem for the community at large. In my opinion, they could have just added this thing to the OGL, and they could, if their intention was to protect against harmful or discriminatory content, they could already do it because they had that veto, and they could really do it if they wanted. The thing here is that they want to control something else. They want to get hold of the IP with a tight fist, and of course the community, well, the community has to fight back, and that's what I urge everyone to do. Fight back against this thing, because this is not going to stop anytime soon. Of course, that is only my Viking view. Let me know yours down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.